Thank you guys. Welcome. I'm going to go ahead and get started on just talking about getting your life back with Offshore Talent. So I just kind of want to start it with some interesting facts, but unemployment rate right now is at 3.7%. This is actually the highest it's been in almost 2 years. According to a recent article from CNN, our industry has struggled the most in terms of bouncing back from the pandemic from an employment standpoint. In destinations that are seasonal, it's even harder for companies right now to hire, find good employees, and this is putting them at risk for poor customer service. This can not only affect our industry, but it's also very difficult when we have the hotel industry doing marketing campaigns against us that we can't provide experiences like they can. So since the pandemic, we saw a shift in the industry around remote work and companies beginning to utilize remote hires. This is why today we'll talk about different ways to hire in the industry, cost-saving opportunities that come with it, and then overcome those common myths on remote hires as well. So who is Extenteam? What is it that we do? What's our story? I just wanted to touch briefly on how this actually started. And it started with our founder and CEO, Ari. He was a property manager, like a lot of you on this call. He had properties in California, and he was struggling to really find quality employees with the wages that are in California. So he turned to remote hiring. He was successful with it and had his first hire in 2014. And his property manager friends were like, wait, you just solved a business issue. Can you help me out as well? So that's when he actually decided to take the leap of faith in 2019 and launched Extenteam. So what do we offer? There are 3 products that current Streamline customers, they either utilize one or multiple at a time. These include our dedicated team members. These are actual extensions of a company's team. We have our Tailwind product, which is 24/7 guest communication services, and then our accounting and bookkeeping service as well. So Alex from Juicy Vacation Rentals is a mutual customer of both Extenteam and Streamline. He has been a customer with us since September of 2020. Can't believe it's almost 4 years. And currently has 4 dedicated team members with us. So I want to turn this to Alex and just get his insight. But Alex, how did you get started with hiring a virtual assistant? What was that moment you realized I need additional help?
Yeah, well, good question. And thanks for having me on here. This is definitely a passionate topic of mine. As Christina said, in 2019, Extenteam came around. Before we came on in 2020, I was always really a firm believer of virtual support. And I had the same friend that introduced me to Airbnb back in 2000 and I believe it was 12, 13-ish when we started. I started also looking at Fiverr and Upwork and a lot of these different platforms that will give you just phenomenal, great virtual support. And so I had some experience going overseas to get, whether that was administrative support or marketing docs, or you can really go for anything. But then I had tried out getting my own virtual support member before I met Extenteam, and it just wasn't a good situation. I felt like it was a lot harder for me to keep on top of, and I think when it's transactional, in my experience, it's been a lot easier to just go to a system like a Fiverr and find somebody that can transactionally help you. Maybe that's on a project, a presentation, something that removes your time. And so, I think most of the managers on this call are going to agree that it does help to have that outsourced. If you haven't tried it, then this will be hopefully a good call for you. So I switched over to Extenteam after I heard about the product. I used 2 of the 3 services that are up here, the after-hours support, and then as Christina mentioned, 4 dedicated team members. I started with one, and prior to that, we had 1 full-time employee that did our sales and our support. And I felt terrible for our employee because he was constantly working almost a 24/7 shift. You get woken up in the middle of the night, and and we were small then, and we only had 25 properties going into COVID in the 2020 year. And so it's very difficult to afford more than one person until we learned about going overseas. And so when my experience doing it on my own was a challenge, because I didn't have all the monitoring capabilities that companies like Extenteam have, and being able to have a partner to go find that person, vet that person, watch that person. But we came on with one, and then we really grew it from there. And we've had some great tenure, and I'm sure there'll be more to talk about. But that's my experience coming into it was phenomenal, because we immediately were able to add 2 or 3 employees for the cost of what I was paying for one. And that started to really start to spread out and balance our support team.
Awesome. Yeah, we'll definitely dive into a little bit more of what they do and how it's impacted your business, but that's a really great just segue into, what is a dedicated team member and how do we go about ensuring the right candidate for your business needs. So dedicated team members, these are people who are recruited and trained based on unique roles that a company is trying to fill. We understand that every business has their own unique business problems, and so that's why we really go into depth during our initial consulting calls. So we utilize our Extenteam in Action program. This is where we're able to find and nurture the best remote workforce with 4 essential pillars that we follow. That first pillar is called matching. It's matching the right candidate to the company's needs. We utilize our Extenteam hiring program to make sure they fit within their new role. They must have a hospitality background already, and they have to pass an English language assessment. The second one is skilling. This is ensuring the team member has the necessary knowledge needed to succeed in the beginning. We utilize our own Extenteam Academy to train them. The third is nesting. This is allowing for smooth transitions from the team member to the partner's business. This is when you're also introduced to your partner success team here at Extenteam. And then finally, supporting. So it's not only important for us to support our customers, but also our team members. And we're providing multiple services to ensure success throughout this partnership. We include our talent assurance program, we do quarterly business reviews, and we handle all payroll, benefits, PTO requests for the team members so that you don't have to. So as I had mentioned, Alex currently has 4 dedicated team members with us, but what roles do your current team members do for you, Alex?
A lot. They wear many hats, but it started out as being guest services and really like reservation sales. And so now that's really expanded into many things. And so depending on the team member, one of the first team members that's coming up on 3 years is now my guest support supervisor. And so that has been great because it adds just another leader for the team as we're growing, and kind of a filter for us in the company on training and monitoring, coaching, all of the things, scheduling, the things that we just really don't have time to do. And that same supervisor role has also taken on a whole lot of administrative stuff. So we've even worked it out to where she can turn her calls on and off. So some days she may be shadowing others to help improve that customer service. But because she has a marketing background, she's able to do Canva and flyers and branded design stuff that we need. And so they've really, all 4 of our agents have a lot of tenure, so they know our business really well. And I will work with them on Asana for extra projects, anything and everything that they feel, they can help with, we try to provide. So it's really about learning the team members. One thing I have liked about Extenteam is that you can tell them too that, hey, I need a specialty role, or I need somebody that has this experience. We've done that too, where we'll say we need a little bit more marketing experience, or maybe experience in WordPress, or something that's going to fulfill an operational gap that we have. So I wanted to mention that because I just want to challenge you guys to really look at ways that you can fulfill a lot of needs for a very, very low cost.
Awesome. I love that you're also just encouraging your team members to continue growing within their roles. That's really what we want from these partnerships as well.
I think they see it more as a career that way, you know, and they can
Yeah.
see, and I think they really, well, hearing from them, like they feel more involved when they're doing other things and they get to be with us for 2, 3 years and watch the growth and contribute to the growth. I think that helps with the tenure.
Yeah, absolutely. And with that, we're really focusing on our Extenteam Academy and building it. We do have current modules and training that goes into place, but as I mentioned, we are building this out. So having someone on your team that already knows the system that you operate in every day is important. And that is why we're actually working with PMS Pros on expanding our certifications and modules we offer during training. So we are releasing a certification on property management systems, and we're happy to say that the first one is Streamline. We are rolling out Streamline Basics and Fundamentals for all hires of partners who utilize Streamline. So this is a great additional knowledge to the already robust Streamline University that you currently have access to as customers. Alex, I know you haven't been a part of the new rollout that we're doing, but how long did it take your Extenteam hires to understand how to utilize Streamline?
Honestly, I'm really impressed on this because like it's a few weeks and they're ready. Like Streamline's got a good system. I think this academy is going to be amazing because you could start to bring in vendors and other things that are pretty commonly used, and there can be certain certifications. So what has helped us? So for those of you, you know, that may not, or maybe the academy doesn't have everything yet, or there's other things you want to incorporate into it. We use Trainual. I use Asana a lot. There's a lot of free like project management software programs, but Trainual is a great one because it has so many templated things that you can already create from training, but we have a whole guest support training, everything from a welcome video to here's who we are, here's who the team is, here's our Slack channels, and just a lot of introductions. That has helped us to bring really any onboarding up to speed a lot quicker. But I think this academy is going to be huge, and I will definitely be a part of just helping to contribute to anything that I can in this academy. But I think for us, it's really a matter of getting them up to speed on our policies, our management. Every company is going to have a little bit of a difference in the way that they do things. But when we brought on almost every full-time hire, they had a pretty high level of knowledge of tech and softwares and had, as you mentioned in the beginning, had already worked in the customer service industry. And so a lot of our training is just getting them up to speed on systems, and stuff like this definitely makes it easier.
Yeah, definitely excited to just have your insight and feedback as we continue building this. So we'll go into dispelling myths and rumors when it comes to offshore talent. Some common concerns around outsourcing that we've heard is I don't want my guest and owners speaking to a call center that has a new person every time, or I don't feel like hiring someone virtually is going to provide that same level of customer support. Is my data secure? How do I know if they're real? Are we taking advantage of another country? Would guests be off-put by the accent? So I thought I'd just share some interesting facts about working with talent from the Philippines. It's, 90% of remote international hires are actually females. 69% of remote international hires are married. The majority of them are supporting children, parents, extended family, just like us. The Philippines, they have a literacy rate of 99.3%. It's almost tied with the US at 99.42%. It's according to an article from United eConnect. Philippines is ranked second compared to any other country in Asia in terms of English fluency, and English is actually considered a first language alongside Tagalog in the Philippines. Alex, did you have any concerns about the ability of someone to support you from another country?
The only time I did was before I told you this story before, but when I went out on my own and I found a virtual assistant. I didn't have the data or monitoring software, and that particular person that I had hired kind of had his own hierarchy of other agents working for him. And so the personality would change a little bit on the responses. I would notice there would definitely be an English barrier then, and it wasn't always the team that I hired. And so I have not experienced that, thankfully, since moving over to Extenteam. And I've even taught the team, chat GPT. And so we have, they will put a lot of their responses into other systems just to really sound more professional than if I typed it myself. And I think overall their English is pretty good. And there have been times where owners would that is a valid concern. Owners would bring that up, and what I've found is introducing them and in the very beginning as part of our team, because we have 4 dedicated team members that they are an extension of our team. They are absolutely the guest support. They're not a call center that answers for 40 different companies. They're Jay-Z. And I think not I think, but I know that every single time I've explained that up front to owners, then that goes away. That concern completely goes away, and they get to know the team. Our guest support is also our owner support, and that's helped out a lot.
Awesome. How long did it take for them to be able to successfully represent you and Jay-Z Vacation Rentals?
Like as far as like being trained from start to finish,
Yeah.
I would say
Or really understand your business, your properties, and how you market yourself.
worst case 3 to 4 weeks.
Mhm.
We've had some up within 2 to 3, and but yeah, I mean, in our fastest case, we were able to recruit, train, onboard, and be ready in 4 weeks, and the whole process. If I was doing that on my own, it'd take 4 weeks just to get to the recruiting. So yeah, like it does depend on each company, I would assume, and how diverse your company is. How many markets are you in? We're in multiple cities and markets, and we've still been able to get a lot of our agents up to speed. We also do things like Matterport in all of our units. I will give video tours every time there's a new property. So I think you do have to implement some things to make it easier. But with the support of having a recruiting partner like Extenteam, they do a lot of things up front too. Like there's a lot of training that you don't even have to do. So I think it really depends on your training program. But to answer your question, 3 to 4 weeks, I feel pretty comfortable stating.
I think it's interesting. Some companies I have spoken to, they don't have training or onboarding processes in place. And then through this partnership, it's actually helped them develop their own internal processes and onboardings, even for remote hires or in-person hires that they need, aside from offshore talent. Do you feel like you had those processes in place, or this process actually helped you build that out a little bit more?
It has helped. And we have had issues just like with any employees before, where I could send one email and then get the entire schedule rundown, attendance report. So it is really nice. Like we don't have to do a lot internally. If somebody's late, I have an email immediately. If they're even idle on a screen, all of that stuff is tracked. So it's a very smart system of knowing, and it's just like having another leader or partner to even though they work with you and directly with you, it's really nice to have that extra data and somebody to monitor at all times.
So now that we've blown up the myths and rumors of hiring offshore, we want to tackle urgent tasks getting in the way of opportunities. And lost opportunity truly does just come in many forms. And so some examples of urgent tasks that we've received from customers are guest-related messages, such as being locked out of a room or the Wi-Fi is not working. We all know that's an emergency. Appliance failure, AC isn't working, the gate's locked out, homeowners having questions on invoices, statements, website down, after hours calls. Just there's so many. And so I'd encourage anyone who's actually watching the webinar to contribute to any story of their own. We would love just for you to share that, and we can all learn from one another. And in the meantime, Alex, have you experienced lost opportunity due to not having enough time on your hands? And if so, what did you lose out on, and did that have a revenue impact?
I have a lot, yes. And our time is very valuable. And I always have tried to, well, I've made a lot of mistakes with this. And so time management and in general, I think is something very important. A whole nother training. But it's just speaking from my own experience, like for me, lost opportunities now in my life is personal. Like some
Mhm.
in guest support and reservation sales and accounting and whatever it is you're seeking to fill or give up some time and delegate to. There's so many lost opportunities that can happen. For me, it's definitely happened in business a lot. I may have disregarded a lot of sales because of having to jump in and help. And escalations, I think, was probably my favorite thing to train our guest support supervisor on. Escalations used to always be me. So every time there was any kind of issue, it was, we want to talk to the owner. And it was always me having to do those. And so just being able to train a team to have a certain kind of bandwidth of those escalations was great. For me, my lost opportunities were family, personal life, missing out on maybe that is a game or maybe that's something in my kids' lives that when you are the final kind of filter for guest support, or if you're still smaller and still fulfilling a lot of that role, then you know exactly what I mean. And those opportunities being lost. So I think the biggest thing is taking your own kind of time assessment and how much time do you spend on anything that is below the value of what you feel your time is worth. So if I'm a consultant, which I am now in some ways in this industry, and that has a monetary amount, I'll just throw out an easy number. Let's say that's $100, and I'm doing a task that's a $10 to $15 an hour task. It's just a lot of time that I'm investing or spending or wasting into something that someone else can typically do better than me, especially when I'm delegating marketing or delegating something on Canva or a design, or we had to get Wi-Fi QR codes up in a new hotel that we launched in Denver. And one of my guest support agents was able to do it in a matter of 30 minutes. It would take me 3 days. So for me, I just kind of wanted to hit a little bit more high level. The what I've always felt in guest support, what my previous team member that was taking on a lot more of the guest support in the States was all about the personal time that was lost and not really having a great work-life balance. Whereas when you're working with the Philippines or overseas, our nighttime is their daytime, so now we have somebody that works in the nighttime. We still have after hours, but we have one dedicated person that's over on the graveyard shift for the people that check in late or for extra things that we like to have a part of. So
Yeah, that's definitely a pain point we hear a lot, is just the lost time with family, friends, or even just being able to recharge. I mean, being around the clock 24/7, that can definitely lead to also just burnout.
it's so true.
You talk a lot about, guest relations. What are the most time consuming things that your team does for you? Would you say that one of them is the guest communications aspect?
Guest communications, yes. And then lead follow-up, sales. As I mentioned, like I also train the team to do owner support. So we have a dedicated email for guest support, a
Mm.
dedicated email and contact for owner support. Same team, but they're able to help with both, and they can facilitate all of that out of Streamline in the CRM, which is nice. There's a whole lot of communication points that
Mhm.
I'm very impressed every time I go in and see how many things that they reply to, like reviews on every single channel, Airbnb, Verbo, Google profiles. We have multiple Google profiles. And then, social media. There's all of these different incoming streams of communication. It's no longer just the travel agent or, OTA messages or text. And so everything from the phone calls to the emails to the text, that's definitely keeps them busy. And when we don't have, the good thing about Streamline, you guys may already know this, but you can go into Stream Phone, you can go into the analytics records, and you can really start to see how busy are you at certain times of the day, year, week, and really map out your scheduling needs according to that. And then what we've always done, obviously schedule heavy in those hot times, but have dedicated tasks for them to do when they're not busy. So there's a whole lot of other tedious stuff that is easy to do, but when you have 4 people dividing it up, whether that's entering reviews into Streamline to make sure they're on our website, or tackling SEO and titles, and we do a lot of listing optimization. People you're working with are smart. They're used to just a lower pay. And so you can get a whole lot more done with a lot less money. And how you delegate and divide up that work is really going to be dependent on your business needs. But for us, like, there's a whole lot of those tedious tasks that they will take on when they're not busy just doing the front lines with the guest.
And has this allowed you to focus on the overall expansion of your business?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And I feel a lot more comfortable. Like, we're about to add 17 units. It's a real small hotel, but it's a newer venture. We've been adding condo hotels where we're adding a whole lot of onboarding in a small amount of time, which is the most amazing problem. I feel blessed for it, but I feel more comfortable knowing that it's very easy and quick. If we need to pivot and get somebody fast to keep up with the growth, we can do that. And I feel very good about that. So yes, it provides that comfort, does allow us to grow. And in the moments where things run slower, the slower seasons, because it's a lower pay, you never have to consider chopping payroll or layoffs or anything like that. You just kind of pivot how you design those roles or what you delegate them to do so they can take on more.
That's super exciting. Congrats on your continued expansion.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
All right. So at the very beginning, I touched base on the 3 product offerings that we had. We've really focused on the dedicated team member service. Like we said, we do have our Tailwind product as well. This is truly 24/7 guest communication services. This is giving you guys time back. If you want a little bit more time back with family after hours, it's an ideal service. There are 3 different tiers for it: Starter, Growth, and Pro. And then also our accounting services as well. So these are shared team. This is a shared team of vacation rental and short-term rental accountants. We understand that this is a flexible option. So depending on kind of what your accounting needs are, you can talk to our team and we can create a package that's suitable for you. And that is it. I want to kind of leave some time just for some Q&A if there is any, but just want to really thank Alex for being here, and then Mike for having us.
You bet. Thanks for that.
Sorry, Alex, I stomped on your audio there.
That's okay. Steal the thunder, Mike.
It's all about me.
It's all about you, Mike.
Mike's show.
Yeah, we appreciate having you on. That was a great presentation. Gosh, I had a lot of takeaways from that. It's really good to hear that this model is working, because it's such a unfulfilled niche that we're seeing. And it's really going to help Streamline to have this resource for our PMs. So thank you.
Yes. No, I'm passionate about it. It's helped me a lot. And in 2020, it really saved us because expenses were quite tight then. Adding more people was not something that we could even consider until this came around. So, that's something I talk about all the time, and I mean it. And I've explored it, like I said, on my own, but it's not as easy.
I feel like there's an industry talent shortage everywhere. And so
Yes.
we're scrambling to fulfill it in all the different ways, but it has to be done in a very thoughtful and these remote workers have to learn the business, they have to learn the industry, and that's what we're evolving to. And it's great to see it come to fruition.
Absolutely.
Is that me dinging? Can you guys hear dinging?
No.
Oh, it's just my system dinging. Okay. Or it's in my head. Anyways, looks like we have no questions. Like I said, great presentation. Any last words before we sign off?
Yeah, if anyone has any questions or would like to just kind of review our services, you can go to our website. You can email me directly. I can introduce you to our team. And then for all Streamline customers, we are doing half off our onboarding.
Awesome. And I believe both of you will be at Streamline Summit.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
So
Oh,
just a
yeah.
reminder, I see a couple people in the participants that are also going to be there. So can't wait. Anyways, with that, we'll give everybody the rest of their half hour back, and we appreciate Extenteam and Christina and Alex. And with that, we say have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.